And good evening, I'm Bo Williams. Welcome to the 7. Let's get a look at the big 7 stories happening right now. Topping the list, plans for cuts at the Department of Veteran Affairs and the reaction from East Tennessee's veteran community. It's part of a broader effort by the Trump administration to whittle down the size and price of the federal government. Now, the administration's objective here is to cut the VA workforce back to where it was in 2019, around 72,000 workers. The VA is responsible for operating benefit programs for veterans, their families, and survivors. Some of the benefits include health care, disability, burials and memorials, life insurance, housing assistance, and more. Michael Testerman, the post commander for American Legion Post 2 here in Knoxville, says he's hopeful veterans will continue to get the service they need if cuts are made.
I'm hoping that, just in the process of looking at it and talking about it, it really doesn't affect it a lot. I know you may have some people that go, well, they're going to fire us anyway, I quit, which I hope does not happen. I think give them a little bit of time, go through the process, and let's see what comes out of it. Yes, we know that if you start getting rid of a whole bunch of, especially on the medical side, it's going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to put us back in the situation we were back in the 70s and 80s where people were waiting in a hallway for 8 hours just to be seen by a doctor, or, months and months and months.
VA Secretary Doug Collins confirmed the planned cuts, but insisted in a video posted to social media that veterans and their families would not lose out.
We're going to accomplish this without making cuts to health care or benefits to veterans and VA beneficiaries. VA will always fulfill its duty to provide veterans, families, caregivers, and survivors the health care and benefits they have earned. That's a promise.
Another big story coming out of South Carolina is up next for us here on the 7. The state has now executed a man by firing squad. Convicted murderer Brad Sigmund is the first U.S. prisoner to die by that method in 15 years. A group of 3 prison employees volunteered to carry out the execution using rifles. Sigmund killed his ex-girlfriend's parents with a baseball bat in their Greenville County, South Carolina home in 2001 with plans to kidnap their daughter. He told police he planned to take her for a romantic weekend, then kill her and himself. Of the 3 execution methods allowed in the state of South Carolina, lethal injection and the electric chair, Sigmund decided on the firing squad. Previously, officials suspended executions for 13 years, but now going forward, the court will allow an execution every 5 weeks. For our next story, we got an update on a silver alert received earlier. The missing woman out of Morristown has now been found dead. TBI shared that 83-year-old Daisy Friddle was found dead just a few hours ago. This is after she was reported missing earlier this morning. TBI shared in a post their deepest condolences going out to her family. Big update on our next story. The TBI issued an Endangered Child Alert earlier today. We now know that the children have been located and are safe. Now, beforehand, investigators were saying the 3 Holt children, Trevor, Emma, and Adeline, had last been seen March 4th in Newport and were thought to be with their mother, Melissa, who was also missing. But again, all 3 children and their mother have been located, and TBI agents say that they are safe. The Bureau is not offering up any more information on how they were found. Moving along in our Big 7 list for you, the Knox County Office of Housing Stability is looking to expand ways to support people experiencing homelessness, working with other groups to consider possible locations for a low-barrier shelter. Now, this comes nearly a year after the only low-barrier shelter in our area closed its doors. The foyer at the Volunteer Ministry Center closed last March due to a loss of grant funding. It held 30 beds and sheltered more than 500 individuals during its operation. Now, according to the Office of Housing Stability, they are looking for spaces like the foyer in our community to bring low-barrier shelters back to the community.
That includes things like sobriety requirements. That includes things like couples who need to be able to stay together, who can't be separated into gender-segregated programming. That includes things like people with pets. So there's a lot of reasons that people might not be a good fit for a large kind of traditional shelter, and that's where low-barrier shelter can help fill some gaps.
The Housing Stability Office has not settled on a definite location or community partner to work with just yet. Now, another challenge, low-barrier shelters are typically open 24 hours, so the project will need some additional funding. The closest shelter Knoxville has to being low barrier is the Knoxville Area Ministries, but since they house many people at one time, well, there are some restrictions like gender segregation, which is put in place. Next on our list, Gibbs High School renaming their baseball field after one of their most famous students. We're talking about country music superstar Morgan Wallen. The proposal of the name change was passed by the county's Naming Facilities Committee earlier today. Wallen graduated from the Knox County School back in 2011 and was a member of the baseball team. He has also given thousands of dollars to improve the music programs at the school in addition to the baseball program.
So Morgan played baseball at Gibbs during his time. He's part of the 2010 state championship team. And if you go to his concerts, you hear him speak very fondly of his time with Gibbs baseball, Coach Davis. He speaks very fondly of his time with Coach. And you see him wearing a Gibbs Eagles baseball jersey out there a lot of times.
You know, Wallen has also previously donated over $140,000 for the nearby Gibbs Ruertan Park and $100,000 for the Jefferson County Baseball Park. Don't forget, he even released one of his albums at the school just a few years ago. But that's a nice looking ballpark there. Hey, for our final Big 7 story for you, one of East Tennessee's most sought-after destinations is reopening today after its winter hiatus. Anakeesta, kicking off its 2025 season today, inviting guests to come and take in all that they have to offer. You know, in just a week, they'll be kicking off their Shamrock celebration, complete with green beer and bagpipe performances. We spoke with one of our friends over at Anakeesta about a special opportunity that locals can now take advantage of this season.
Our Tennessee Resident Pass has been a hit once again this year, and so we're really encouraging people who are from Tennessee and have that Tennessee photo ID, go online, purchase your Anakeesta tickets, select that Tennessee Resident Pass. If you come here before March 16th and redeem your pass here at the ticket booth behind me, we're going to turn it into an annual pass.
Not a bad deal. Remember, you only have until March 16th to take advantage of that offer and be ready for all the amazing events Anakeesta has to offer now that the weather is turning nice. It's starting to get a little bit warmer.